Yo, what's up guys? Arekkz here, and today I want to sit down and I just want to talk about Lost Ark. In case you haven't already guessed it by the amount of videos I've uploaded and the way I'm talking about this game, I really like this game. And generally speaking, on this channel, anytime I upload videos, there's typically a structure. There's something I want to talk about, and I talk very specifically about that, but what I don't often do is just sit down and just chat about games. And that's what we're doing today. No script, no plan, no nothing. I'm just going to sit and talk about Lost Ark, because honestly, this game, I am absolutely loving it. It feels weird to say, because I have begun, or I've only kind of just begun to scratch the surface of the game. There is so much stuff I still have yet to do. I'm very near to level cap right now, but there's still a ton of stuff I haven't even discovered. But already, and you know, factoring in I also don't understand or speak or read even an iota of Korean. I have no understanding of what's actually going on in the game. But despite that, it hasn't hindered my enjoyment, and it is probably one of the best games that I've played. And that sounds like a crazy claim to make when you think about kind of all the games I've played, but the thing about Lost Ark is it just does so much right. And here's the crazy thing, because I've seen in the comments some people saying, you know, it looks like a kind of version of Path of Exile, a version of Diablo. You know, I've seen this before, this isn't new. And here's the thing, it's true, Lost Ark doesn't actually do that much new. And I think 2Six kind of said it on stream the other day and he kind of hit the nail on the head. It doesn't do anything new, but what it does really well. You know, in Lost Ark, we've seen these systems before. Like, there's games, combat-wise, we're looking at essentially ARPG-style combat. You know, you've got the zoomed-out camera, you've got the raised kind of angle of it, you've got the kind of typical tray of moves that you cycle between, you've got the tripod system for your skills. None of that stuff is groundbreakingly different. It's not stuff we haven't seen before, but it does it really well. You know, and then in terms of the MMO structure, you know, we've got things that you would typically expect in MMOs. You've got professions, you've got crafting, you've got auction houses, you've got, you know, PvP, you've got raids, you've got world bosses. It's all stuff that we've seen in other genres. But the nice thing about Lost Ark, and I think what I like so much about it, is it's just taken all these different aspects that I personally enjoy in gaming and it's put them all into one very polished product. And that's the cool thing. You think about, like, back when I was at school and, you know, you'd enjoy games and you sit and chat to your friends, you'd be like, oh, imagine if there was a game where, like, it took my favourite thing from Zelda and it took my favourite thing from World of Warcraft and it took my favourite thing from, like, Diablo and it mashed it all together and suddenly you had, like, you know, you had your dream game and you'd always talk to your friends about, like, how you'd want your dream game to be. And that's kind of what Lost Ark is doing. I'm not to say it's perfect, you know, not necessarily by a long shot, but what it does is it takes so many different things that I enjoy in gaming and it just brings them all together. So, you know, like, to speak about some of those aspects, combat, for example. I know some people might not necessarily like the look of it, but, like, I really like the over-the-top style combat. So, you know, you've got some ridiculously big weapons to the point where they just look, you know, you could even say they look silly. Like, you could just never carry a hammer that big, but honestly, I don't care. I'm not playing the game for realism, I'm playing it for, like, over-the-top combat. I'm a destroyer, I've got a hammer that is, like, twice the size of me, but when you make those hits and when you land those attacks, you just feel the weight. And this is the crazy thing. I'm not even playing, you know, I'm playing mouse and keyboard, so I don't have physical feedback. But I feel like if I played this with a controller, I feel like the rumble would just be going crazy. That's how much feedback I get in the combat. And people have kind of made sort of some comparisons to, like, the obvious ones like Diablo, Path of Exile. I've played a lot of Diablo. I've been playing Diablo since Diablo 1. I'll admit I haven't played Path of Exile. I've seen it being played. And I'm sure it's a great game. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that love it. It's not personally something that I've necessarily wanted to play. I've looked at the combat, and I think one of the things that I like about Lost Ark versus these other games is things like Diablo and Path of Exile. You walk quite fast through dungeons, you walk quite fast through enemies, and you kind of work your way through these mobs and you destroy them and everything like that. But the moves don't seem to kind of give me that same feeling of gratification. Like, a lot of those ones, they feel a little bit, I kind of want to say stale. You know, you just kind of use these abilities, you'll fire at your attacks and you kind of blitz through the enemies, they disappear, you know, and it feels cool in that respect. But you don't get that same feedback. Whereas in Lost Ark, I just sit down and, like, when I use my destroyer and I group everyone together with that gravity ability and I then, like, slam the ground with the hammer, you hear it, you feel it, the enemies bounce back up, and then suddenly I charge up my spin attack and I mow my way through them. I feel every single hit of that, and it just feels really good. I think the fact that it is a little bit slower paced, you know, the fact that you walk around slightly slower, it feels a little bit clunky. It kind of has that same feeling of Monster Hunter. Like, the first time you ever pick up Monster Hunter, and if you've never played it before, the term a lot of people will use is clunky. They say it feels slow, it feels clunky. But when you get the feeling, and once you understand the game, suddenly that feeling of clunkiness goes away, and you just appreciate it more as weight. And that is something that I definitely feel I've got a lot. You know, maybe it's because I'm playing a heavy class, maybe it's because I'm playing Destroyer, but I definitely feel like I get that in the combat. So what it's essentially done is taken, you know, ARPG style combat that I like anyway from games that I've played, and it's added that kind of weight to it. It's added that over the top aspect to it. It's almost like Diablo meets anime, right? You take something like Overlord, or take something, you know, where you've got these crazy, stupidly big weapons and these over-the-top abilities, and it just looks insane. And I appreciate, you know, there's two spectrums. Some people prefer the slightly more reserved, you know, visual side of it. Some people prefer the over-the-top stuff. I'm definitely someone that likes that. So the fact that I do have, you know, moves where I slam the ground and craters come out, there are like explosions, enemies go flying in the air, there are just like particles everywhere. It's just, yeah, to me, this is really awesome. So combat-wise, it's an absolute tick. Now for me, MMOs are another genre that I have loved for a very long time. Back when I was younger, you know, before I even played World of Warcraft, I used to play a lot of free MMOs. I've played my fair share of Korean MMOs as well. I played things like Silk Road Online, I played Cabal Online, I played, I mean, probably too many to name, to be honest. I think, you know, back when I used to download those, it's because I couldn't, you know, as a kid, I couldn't afford like a subscription for World of Warcraft, so I just downloaded any free MMO I could and just sort of play through them. And some of them were, you know, pretty grindy, but I've been playing MMOs as a genre for a long time. And then, of course, once I went to university and I started playing with like 2.6, some of my best gaming memories have been in MMOs. And it's a genre that there have been plenty of MMOs since then, but I feel like for me personally, nothing has quite captured me the same way that World of Warcraft did. And then moving further forward, you've got a lot of these kind of games that I typically refer to as MMO-like, things like Destiny, Division, and soon to be Anthem. And they do somewhat fill that void. They kind of give you those MMO-type experiences in bite-sized chunks, but at the same time, they still don't quite do what MMOs do. So then suddenly to have this come out, I mean, I think I was speaking to someone the other day, I think they said in Korea they almost refer to this as like the last hope for MMOs. I'm not entirely sure what they mean by that, but the point is, it is definitely kind of like a rebirth for me. It's a genre that for quite a while I'd almost sort of resigned to the fact that I probably wouldn't be playing MMOs much more because I just quite frankly don't have the time for them. But suddenly getting into Lost Ark, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find the time, I'm going to make the time, because this game is worth every second. I have played through, and here's the thing as well. I'm so used to in MMOs, they always start off very slow, right? You know, the level 1 to 10 experience, the level 1 to 20 experience. Heck, you know, most of the early game experience is typically quite dull and boring. You know, you don't get your best abilities until later, you don't encounter the cool content until later. All that stuff is often what makes getting into MMOs quite a slog, because you just, like, it's just not enjoyable. Even down to World of Warcraft, like, I love that game, but, you know, the first part of the game is just dead boring, right? So that's something that I kind of expected. But then suddenly I jump into Lost Ark, and even the first things you do, you know, right off the bat, some of your early abilities, they still look impressive. They're still exciting to use, and the content just flows really nicely. And I think this is the nice thing, that the whole leveling experience, people typically expect a lot of these MMOs to be quite grindy, especially if they're free to play or it's Korean or something like that. Then there's certain kind of expectations. But honestly, the whole experience has been quite fluid. You know, you work your way through the areas, you level up quite gradually. By the time you kind of hit a new area, you've already leveled up. I haven't currently hit a point where it's like, oh, you know, you're suddenly too under leveled to do this activity and therefore you need to go back and mindlessly grind. I also haven't hit a point at all yet where it's slowed down massively and I'm like, this bit's a little bit boring. There might be a few little bits as I get towards 50, but at least right now, the 1 to 40 experience that I've gone through, it has been really good. Like, I haven't really played a game where, you know, the first dungeon you encounter, or the first few dungeons you encounter, are actually exciting to play through. And, you know, already at like level 30, midway through, I've encountered the cinematic dungeon, which is probably one of the coolest things that I've done in the game. And that's only early game. You know, I haven't even encountered the raids yet. I've still got the Guardian raids to do. I've still got a lot of PvP to do. I've still got loads more world bosses to find. There's so much more to do, but already I'm just constantly being impressed. And again, there's various different aspects that I haven't even begun to encounter. But one of the other things that sticks out is just the actual game design. The fact that playing the game is so intuitive. It's a game that I can't read. I can't read Korean. You know, I've studied Japanese. I can read Japanese. Whenever I play like Japanese games, I can read some of that. But Korean, I have no understanding. So when it comes to working through this game, I literally just have to essentially use my kind of gaming intuition and just kind of use whatever the game does. But the way that it lays everything out, it's just so easy to play through, to the point where I look at some modern games that have come out in English and like they've got a system like a quest system that might be mindlessly complicated to try and follow, or you kind of follow like a map and it's just really, really badly done. It's like a game that I can understand in English is in some ways more complicated than a game that I completely cannot understand at all. You know, you pick up a quest and suddenly it tells you straight away where you need to go to, you go in the vicinity, and generally speaking, in typical MMO fashion, you either kill some enemies or you go and collect some kind of item. It's all very clearly telegraphed in-game, so it's very easy to just work your way through, even if you don't have an understanding. And some of the slightly more complex ones that involve you using emotes to communicate with people, Even on the UI, it tells you the button you need to open that menu. So the second you press that, you're like, oh, it's an emote quest. And then you just match up the symbols and it's really, really easy. And even though I can't understand the story, seeing some of the cutscenes, I'm already invested in it. I've got some characters that I'm like, I want to know what's going on here. And I have no idea. So being able to play this in English, like, honestly, I am so hoping that we do get this in the West. There was an interview quite a while ago from the CEO of Smilegate where he mentioned that he does want to bring this to Western markets. He wants to bring this to the US and to Europe. Obviously, their focus right now is on the Korean version. It is still in beta. Supposedly, it's going to be in beta until launch. I don't think there's an official launch date yet, so it could still be a couple of years. But he has expressed the interest in doing it, and I think typically they have trouble working in the Chinese market, so that's kind of partly why they want to sort of go elsewhere, and that's kind of why they do want to go to the West, and they do want to kind of launch it there. So I think it's definitely going to be something that is on their radar, and honestly, I know in the grand scheme of things, I'm only a tiny speck, but I'm going to do my bit. I'm going to upload videos. I'm going to use a hashtag. Let's start Lost Ark for the West as a hashtag. Let's use this. Anytime I upload a video, anytime I tweet about Lost Ark, I'm going to use this hashtag. Hopefully I can try and find a way to tweet some people on Smilegate, and maybe we can do our part in some tiny little way to tell the people at Smilegate that we really want this game. Because honestly, I've got that gaming feeling back again that I have in MMOs, where like when you're not playing the game, you're thinking about it. When you're playing the game, you're thinking about it, and it's just, I love it. It is so incredibly awesome. Now, I've kind of just sort of spent the past, I don't know, 10 minutes gushing over the game, but I'm hoping that's kind of given you an idea as to what I enjoy about it so much and the kind of things that I like about it. And I think that's kind of the most important thing, to sort of go back to what I said at the start. You know, it might not be groundbreakingly different. It might not be massively new. I might not be able to turn around and say, hey, this system here has never been done before. No, I can't say that. But what I can say is everything in the game is just done well. It's a really polished product, and I really, really like it. One thing I will say, I know a lot of people have said that they are super looking forward to it, but their one reservation is that, you know, is it going to be littered with pay to win? And I've spoken to a few Korean people, and what they've said from what they've seen in the cash shop so far, it actually seems to be pretty light at the moment on the pay to win front. There's a couple of minor stat boosts here and there, but generally speaking, a lot of the stuff they sell is just cosmetic, so there doesn't appear to be, at this stage, any great degree of pay-to-win aspects. That doesn't mean to say they can't introduce them later, that doesn't mean to say it won't change, but at the same time, for me personally, it's not something that has affected me, and it's not something that I've experienced. I've been playing through with my team, I've been playing through all the PvE content, I've been playing through, you know, content like that. Maybe when you get to like PvP stuff, if someone has something that you don't have, then, you know, maybe there's an aspect to that. But again, to my understanding, you can't go and necessarily buy power or buy weapons or buy things like that. They're minor stat boosts and maybe things to kind of help you catch up if, say, you've been away or you're trying to catch up to your friends. The typical sort of stuff they would sell in cash shops, but beyond that point, it is actually apparently quite tame. So that's also super encouraging. But at the end of the day, provided it doesn't impact my experience, which it hasn't up until now, then honestly, I am not worried. But yeah, this is definitely a game that I honestly hope we get. I've been enjoying it, and I can still play it right now, but it's just not the same. I want it in English. I want to understand what's going on. I want you guys to be able to play it. I want to be able to have massive discussions and just kind of get excited about this game with the whole community. So yeah, here's hoping for Lost Ark in the West. But anyway, that's it for the time being. That was just me sort of rambling for the past 10 minutes. I kind of want to do a little bit more of this moving forward, just chatting about random things, you know, different games that I'm excited about, different events. Hey, maybe it'll even be kind of just stuff in my life. So if you guys have enjoyed this format of content, then do let me know, because I will be doing more of this, as well as obviously the kind of typical content that you guys come to expect. But it is nice just to be able to sit down and be like, you know what, no plans, I'm just going to chat about stuff. So that's it for the time being. Thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, like would be super appreciated. If you haven't already entered the giveaway, don't forget you can click that link in the description box down below. But otherwise, stay tuned for plenty more gaming content. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch 269 and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the Endgame store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the Endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here, but once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.